Hello, and welcome back to theCUBE. Here in our Palo Alto studios, I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. We're here as part of theCUBE and the NYSE Wired community. Brian Bauman and team are in town for 3 days of interviews with AMD and industry leaders. And of course, we have AMD's Corporate Vice President of AI and Enterprise Marketing, Akanksha Mehrotra is here. CUBE alumni many times, formerly at Dell, recognize your face. AMD is part of the industry leaders. All the chips and the AI infrastructure is booming everything. You guys are driving it. Thank you very much for doing that and coming on theCUBE.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Great to see you again, virtually and in real life. It is really an exciting time to be alive, both as a marketer, but also as a professional. I know we like to say never a dull moment, but there's truly never a dull moment
Yeah,
now.
it's super awesome. And I think the AI leaders we've been talking to have been all kind of leaning in, but also curious. There's also optimism, and there's also an understanding that what was once the way it was is going to change all at once, right? So it's happening. And I think the common thread is, yeah, we know how to do lead gen in multiple ways. That's changing, but the game is still the same. You still got to reach customers, and you know who they are. Bring that value proposition out to them. They should receive it. If they like it, they pay you. You keep them, and you just keep it going. And there's all kinds of mechanisms around it for performance marketing, events, face-to-face, digital, everything, lead gen. All that's changing. But marketers have data, right? They have data, they have customers, and they want to implement AI. So I want to get your thoughts as you see AI coming. How would you look at it? How would you frame it on how you would start planning and framing a future roadmap for AI?
Yeah, John, I think it's a particularly exciting time for marketers. One way to look at it is creativity is being quickly commoditized, if you will, and so for a marketer, that is both exciting as well as a challenge. I like to think that marketing has always been sort of at the intersection of both art and science, and I think with AI, to your point, with all the data that is now available and our ability to harness that data becoming faster and frankly, equally available to everyone, I would say that science ratio, if you will, is going up a bit. And so I think for any marketer who's approached their job as a sort of a data informed way of thinking, I think it's a really exciting time. I certainly am excited about the ways in which we're leveraging it both internally as well as what we're looking forward to, doing over time.
Yeah, the word B to B to C has come up a lot, and it's been talked about before, but now more than ever, I mean, AMD, you guys make the infrastructure, semis, and the chips that go around building these new AI systems, but your customers are also, you can think about them. So you start to see a much bigger horizon to the customer, no matter who the marketer is. So how do you see that changing the thought process? Does that change some of the execution things you might look at? Again, knowing what's kind of pre-existing, what what changes, what buttons do you push, what levers do you see? How do you see AI impacting the key levers?
Yeah, I think look at AMD. We're fortunate in that we get to partner with a variety of players within the ecosystem. As you said, we obviously provide a lot of the chips to everything from data centers to OEM providers like the ones that I came from, to edge, to embedded, as well as to the largest hyperscalers. So we certainly have those B2B relationships, but increasingly we're also now developing, and certainly we intend to sort of continue developing relationships with the end customers that are using solutions that are based on our software and our silicon. So I think as a marketer, that means that my team and I need to stay up to date on not just the needs of our partners, who obviously we are very committed to supporting, but also the end customers and their customers, who they are focused, on supporting. And so what that means is, a few examples I would say is just insights on the end customer. So it's not just about lead gen, like going to an event and capturing the lead, but how are you, on a real time basis now? There you have the ability to derive customers that are actually in market for your product, right? There's intent data that's available either through your first party signals that you may have or through your partners. As a marketer, are you harnessing that so that you're delivering not just the right message to the right audience and the right persona, but also doing it at the right time? So maybe within the same end customer, there's a group of people, let's say within the IT organization, that are actively considering, let's say, a client refresh, because they're looking to transform their workforce. And so to that population, you probably need to deliver maybe a mid funnel or a lower funnel message because they've already decided they're in the market for it, right? Versus maybe there's another group within the IT organization on the data center side who are still evaluating how they're going to adopt AI within their data center for a set of workloads. And so maybe there it's more about awareness and more about helping them figure out, well, what type of a solution do you need? Do you need to first modernize your infrastructure so that you can create space for AI? Once you do that, what type does your workload really need a GPU, or could you use a CPU? So that's a very different message, but having the intelligence around where that end customer is in their journey through the intent data helps you make that decision. And I think with AI and with just the ability to harness all these data points that we have, you can now do it. And I would say near real time, and not really real time, but certainly better than a shot in the dark of like, I'm going to throw a client message out there and I'm going to throw a data center out and then like kind of hope whoever picks up sticks, and then I'll get a lead and throw it over to the sales team.
We used to say throwing spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks, and throw it in the dark. That is exactly the point I wanted to get to you on, because in the classic, go back to the past 15 years, just obviously with theCUBE, we talked to a lot of marketers, a lot of organic activity was successful. A lot of the marketing has been data driven. That has been a term that's been relevant, right? So data driven has been, use the data, but now the word data native is interesting. You mentioned real time. There's a lot more going on real time that's gettable that was kind of fantasy in the past. Like, hey, maybe what if we could slice our segment, our audience this way and this group, and then do different things, A/B test and do other things. But the idea of actually hitting the audience, okay, in real time and having real time data come back, you got to have a mechanism for that. What's your vision on this? Because being data driven is great. You got dashboards, but kind of rear view mirror, research lags 6 months. So things can lag a little bit just on the inertia of systems. But when you shift to a real time mindset, the game changes. So what's your vision on that? Because I'd love to get your reaction.
Term I like to use, I mean, yes, everybody wants to be data driven, but exactly to your point, that usually is in rearview mirror, right? The term I like to use is being data informed, because as a marketer, there's value to the data, and then there's value to the intuition that you have, and the knowledge that maybe you've built up over the years. And I think you need the right mix of both of them to do it near real time, right? Because you will have seen those patterns before, hopefully, and therefore you're able to make a different decision than perhaps what somebody else would have made. So what my vision for this, and frankly some of the things that we're doing already, is having our own kind of propensity based models that we use to group accounts or group customers into categories. Folks that are maybe in market right now and ready, like just the example that I used just a few minutes ago, versus maybe another group of customers who perhaps these are contacts that we just harnessed through an event we did last week, and so we don't know where they are because we literally just found out about them. So I think it's more about having that mindset of constantly sort of evaluating and looking, and having kind of a agile planning approach. Like I like to tell my team that planning is great. You want to have maybe I like to call it a 60-70% plan of what you're going to do, for the year. But then the remaining time, you need to be flexible and agile enough
Yeah.
to be able to adjust, because this market is moving so quickly that you don't want to get married to a plan or an idea or a campaign or a strategy that maybe is out of date. And taking that data informed way mindset,
Yeah.
and coupling that with being agile, I think allows us to react faster.
I love the agile methodology. We had one guest on theCUBE said, you gotta be like a director. And I'm like, yeah, you don't always get the first take, take two. So you can try things, but being mindful of the experimentation, but also getting accuracy on unbiased or pre-existing information, right? Like sometimes
Yeah,
bias creeps in.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the way we sell to companies. You got to look for new things. What's your thoughts on that? Because the bias is potentially in there because there's a lot of data in the systems about customers, about sales
Yeah.
motions, about how things
Mhm.
were done. What's your view on that, and where do you see that evolving, and does that impact anything?
Yeah, I think this is where I feel lucky being kind of relatively new to the space at AMD, because I get to, I can truly say I have a fresh pair of eyes, so, on things. That doesn't mean I don't have my own biases from,
Yeah,
maybe previous engagements, but this is where I think you want to have a culture where people feel empowered to challenge each other. And, part of that agile methodology is also not, is making sure that you're not, you know, punishing or seeing as a failure a change of plan. Because it's designed, if you're not changing things, you're perhaps being too conservative,
hmm,
right, and not aggressive enough. And so I don't know that there is a silver bullet or an answer to that, aside from just always being eyes wide open around the idea that you're going to come at a situation based on your previous experiences. Somebody else will come at it through theirs. And as long as we can agree to, hopefully,
yeah,
a few sources of truth that we're going to look at and agree to debate it and look at it, and then also agree to kind of
yeah.
give each other grace when we try things and maybe they don't work. Um,
I
I
love
think I think that'll be fine.
I love the
So
I love the idea that you don't want to bring too much pre-existing. You bring the experience over, but if you bring the same playbook over, the competition is going to know what you're doing too, and plus there's new
yeah,
opportunities.
yeah,
So how do you set your team up? Because another thing I want to get your thoughts on is what does a good team makeup look like now? We're seeing things like interdisciplinary skills, maybe having some knowledge of how systems work, tooling, maybe not using the old legacy systems. What is your strategy there at AMD for you, or maybe you personally, around how you look at how to grow a team? Because again, it's early, so it's going to probably continue to evolve. The team might get bigger, it might be different, might be more horizontally spread out, or it might be bigger.
yeah. Yeah, I think the way I think about it is probably in sort of three buckets, if you will. I always like to set a good foundation from a um, sort of just data knowledge and analytics standpoint, for all the reasons I just talked about, right? Like, none of this works. You can't make data informed decisions if you don't have data, if it's not being collected, if the data pipes aren't built in a way, if you don't have clarity around what metrics we're going to be looking at what cadence and with whom, right? So there's just some basic hygiene work around what we need from our analytics, infrastructure standpoint. So I think that's like sort of foundation, number one. I think number two is, what the approach I'm taking now is, frankly, more integrated marketing, because I think um, we have AI tools that can help you specialize, in many areas. What you need is a marketer with sort of generalist skill sets that is able to harness those tools and that has enough experience with maybe previously having done the social and the content and the amplification and the campaigns and the da 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 da, right?
Mhm.
Who's able to take, let's say, the 60-70% version that the AI tool gave you, and then look at it with the human in loop, and then turn that into something that
Yeah,
has a better likelihood of, let's say, resonating with our end customer. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the right technical term for it is. I call it integrated marketing, which is
Yeah,
put together a 360-degree omni-channel campaign that is leveraging all of the vehicles that we know and love, and is likely leveraging, by the way, AI tools to develop the first cut.
yeah,
Of all of them, but then provides this human oversight, to turn it into a product that we can all be, sort of proud of. Um, and then I think the third, leg to the stool, if you will, that goes without saying is just simply good old fashioned collaboration. I mean, the one thing that's clear in AI is it's moving too fast for any one individual or one team, to keep up with it. So having, strong partnerships and relationships, whether it's with my product marketing counterparts or whether it's my partners, who are doing the same things and candidly are one step closer to the end customer that we're trying to get at, or maybe it's my engineering counterparts, whatever it is. I think there's not a replacement. Technology doesn't replace,
yeah.
that human connection, those relationships, and those partnerships. And I think, especially in this day and age, I think that's even more important.
Yeah,
So I'm
agreed.
not moving away from that.
Creative process and the teamwork's critical, and the creative
Yeah.
process is awesome. Akanksha, thanks so much for coming on theCUBE. Final question for you. What are you most excited about? What's your plans for the year for you as you get settled in? AMD is doing extremely well. Congratulations to the company and congratulations on the new role there. What are you excited about and what's your goals for the year?
Yeah, I think I'm, from an AI standpoint, super excited about kind of harnessing the capabilities. We're already trying, we're using AI. We POC'd it before, and now we're using it for some of our content creation, both on the campaign as well as, other content side. We're also using it on customer targeting, as we talked about, and obviously we want to be able to go deeper. I think future plans for us is to extend that into things like localization, translation, kind of more of the production aspects, of creating content. So that's one thing that we're looking forward to. And then finally, from a goal standpoint for us, and for at AMD, we think we're very, favorably positioned in this AI space, having the broadest end-to-end portfolio, having this, software based on an open ecosystem, and then the partnerships that we have. Our goal is to, keep doing what we're doing and extend that message, deeper into our enterprise and customers, so they can see the value that we bring through our solutions. So, partnering with my counterparts, to help the company get to its goals is kind of what we're all striving for.
It's great to see you. Dave Vellante and I are looking forward to seeing the analyst events and your events. Again, congratulations on continuing to have great success there. And we'll keep in touch. And this is just the beginning. We're going to be doing the CMO Leaders events. We're going to continue this as an open community. And thanks for being part of the CUBE community. Of course, now part of the NYSE Wired community, which is the CUBE and NYSE working together to create this open network. And we really appreciate you taking the time out of your super busy schedule. And we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. It's been wonderful talking to you and
Yeah.
meeting with the NYSE Wired team. So
All right.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, Akanksha. Appreciate you. All right. Okay. We are here in Palo Alto. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, with Brian Bauman, the founder of NYSE Wired, the new community with theCUBE and the NYSE coming together in an open way to bring content out in the open, sharing and bringing a trust network together on top of our existing networks. Again, bringing the community in to share the knowledge, because as AI comes in, the CMO, just like every other persona inside the enterprise, is leveraging and getting AI infused into their workflows. It is a superpower that will certainly enhance the human in the loop. And of course, we're bringing all the action on siliconangle.com and in theCUBE. I'm John Furrier. Thanks for watching.